this was kind of a shock last Friday, I believe it
Yeah.
was. I wasn't expecting this guy to pass away, Ray Liotta, at 67 years old, which is still very young. Um, that was shocking news to see. I guess he passed away in his sleep.
Which is
Uh,
which is always the best way to go.
that's a blessing.
Just if you go in your sleep and you're of course older, then yeah, that you can't ask for it any other way than to suffer or whatever. Yeah, that's
That's
the
the
way to
way
go.
we all. That's the way we all should go.
Yeah.
That's the way we all should go. He was filming Dangerous Waters, this upcoming movie, and the interesting thing was I remember seeing just a brief blurb about Ray Liotta being in like Santa Dominico, which is where he passed away, filming this movie. I just saw a brief blurb on it. I'm not going to pretend to even know what the thing is about, but I saw it like a week or two ago, and I didn't think anything of it. Obviously, Ray Liotta does a lot of movies. He really does. He's got probably a more extensive filmography than you think. But I was shocked by it quite a bit. Obviously, famous for now that I live in Iowa, I almost can't go a day without hearing Field of Dreams because I live like 20 minutes away from the actual field now. That's in Dyersville, but he was Shoeless Joe Jackson in Field of Dreams, but most notably, he's known as Henry Hill in Goodfellas. And I said this to my coworkers shortly after I found out he passed, and I relayed the news. I told my coworkers, I said he's the only actor not to be outshined by Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci in one of Scorsese's movies. He's the only lead actor that was not overshadowed or eclipsed. He was an equal in
Yeah.
both talent and screen time. The movie is about Henry Hill. The movie is about his ascension.
He is the protagonist, and he because he narrates it. Um,
We're actually coming up on the 10th anniversary of Henry Hill's death. He passed away, I remember June 12th in 2012. Don't ask me why or how I remember that. But yeah, we're coming up on his 10th anniversary of his death as well. He lived a long while. I think a lot of people forget that he was still alive when Goodfellas came out.
yeah.
He was not like Lefty Rosenthal in Casino or a lot of these other guys. Henry Hill was still alive and well and living a comfortable life,
Mm-hmm.
at least as comfortable as you could be as a convicted felon. But yeah, it was sad to read about Ray Liotta. And Ray Liotta, though, a lot of people, I think Goodfellas was so good and such a landmark role for him in his career that a lot of people forgot, like a lot of his later work. He's done a ton of stuff, and you've undoubtedly seen him in things, but he kind of had the blessing and the curse because Goodfellas was like his sixth movie or seventh movie. So, like, he kind of had the blessing and curse of having that. And Goodfellas is often cited as one of the best American movies ever made, deservedly so.
At least at the top of like mob movies or crime movies. It's
Exact.
yeah.
Exactly. It's a quintessentially American movie, an American story. But like he never no role I feel like ever came as close to being as relevant for him as Goodfellas. I thought he was really good very recently. I thought he was really good. He didn't have a huge role in it, but I thought he was really good in Marriage Story. And I thought that he deserved a little bit more credit than he got. A lot of the credit, deservedly too, went to Laura Dern in that movie as the therapist. But he was very good too, Ray Liotta, in that one. And he was in a lot of different things. He was in Killing Them Softly. He was in Identity, which is really another underrated movie too. He was in that one as well. And most recently, I guess, the last thing we reviewed with him on the show, he was in, not very long, but he was in Many Saints in Newark, too.
He played two roles technically.
Yeah, two roles technically in Many Saints in Newark. So it was sad to hear about his passing, too. And he obviously leaves behind a lot of TV work, too. He was also in ER. So yeah, that was sad news. I definitely wanted to say something though about Ray Liotta.
It's honestly for him, it's the piercing eyes. Like they just go straight through you, dude. And it's coupled with honestly natural good looks and good swash of the hair. That dude was meant to be a movie actor in some ways. It's kind of a cliche, but it just fit him very well. He's got an attitude about him and a very distinguishable voice, especially if you grew up who are the younger generation. Maybe they haven't quite gotten to Goodfellas quite yet. Obviously they should, but if you don't know him through Goodfellas and you're younger, you probably know him through Grand Theft Auto Vice City. The incredible voice of Tommy Vercetti, who
So good.
the players gladly chainsawed mobsters and and gang members with Ray Liotta. That's what you were doing it with. As our cat joins, you know, he remembers Vice City as well, and
Yes,
that
he
was
does.
it's honestly so. Grand Theft Auto 3 is a landmark title, very important for the genre of open world games.
Hell
But
yeah, it's the first M-rated game I ever played.
there you go. That's honestly a good one. But it's very aged, and going back to it, it's the mechanics don't quite hold up. San Andreas is when it really honestly clicked for a lot of people, and that was a great game as well. Vice City's in between, and it improved a lot on what 3 did.
Yeah.
But dude, we are obsessed with it now in like the past 5 to 7 years. But dude, back then in 2004, I think that 80s vibe, holy shit, that 80s vibe was everything. It was so unique.
Playing it as a
Media
kid.
did that.
No, playing it as a kid too, and it's funny to bring this up, but Ray Liotta was a huge part of it too. But like of the legacy of that game. But I remember playing that game. I was probably about 7, 8 years old, and it was a classic story being at my buddy's house, and his father let him rent it. And our 2 dads are downstairs drinking beers on like a Friday night, and we're upstairs playing Vice City, and indelible memories. But I remember playing Vice City, and even at the time, obviously having not seen, I was like 7, 8 years old. I hadn't seen nearly as many movies, but I saw enough. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, where I really felt like, man, video games can be almost as immersive as movies. That was like where I found that, like that sort of idea of like, man, this is like immersive. This is a lived in game. This is a world, a universe. And it was a large credit to Vice City.
And yeah, dude, Grand Theft Auto's always had its celebrity voice act characters, really. But man, having Ray Liotta yell at Tom Sizemore, where it's like, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna get you your money back. I'm gonna email you I'm gonna mail you the dicks of those responsible," because he just got jumped in that opening ambush, and it's hearing that kind of colorful, really colorful language as opposed to just f you, whatever. No, I'm gonna mail you the dicks responsible. These pricks, these mother effers, like just hearing that from Ray Liotta, that like opened the world of language to me. That was a
It was like,
linguistics
damn, it was like
lesson.
we're in like a movie, man. It was like
It
still the
was.
early days of like Tarantino's style and everything too. That's what it really felt like.
Yeah, dude. And you could go back and listen to all of the if Joe was here, he could easily go on about this as well. But yeah, dude, Tommy Vercetti is an innocent man. Not his line, but a line about that character. And for a lot of people, if it's not Goodfellas, it's Vice City. And we gotta we gotta run over a hooker for in game for Ray Liotta.